Hey, Big Dawg. God just gave me the hardest realization, right? So I have been in this space to where I was asking God because I believe that distractions come from the devil, but they also come from God as well too. Because I feel like when God sends a distraction or the devil, they both trying to see if you know you're going to continue to stay in his way, right? If you're going to continue to allow him to have control and you're going to release control. Just basically a way of seeing if the very thing that he pulled you away from, if you're going to run back to it and allow it to distract you. If you're going to continue to allow it to be a burden versus it actually being a lesson that you have learned and you're ready to move on to the next step. But anywho, as I was in this space, right, I was asking God because um I had been attracting narcissistic men, right? And I had to ask God, like, with a particular situation, why do I continue to attract these narcissistic men? And for me, I know a part of it has to do with healing, me being my aura being healing. I know it has a lot to do with that, and with me being a healer myself, I know it has a lot to do with that. But I just felt like it was something a little bit deeper, because you have to get to a space to where when you understand that you are a healer, you have to learn that you're sent just to do that, which means that you're not supposed to be sleeping with your assignment. Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow. The hard pill of accountability. Like, you're not supposed to be, these cars so rude. You're not supposed to be sleeping with your assignment. Like, God sent that person in your life for you to heal them, and you end up taking it to a space that you're really not supposed to take it to, right? And I was like, God, why? Because I've healed, and I'm opening myself up to dating and all of those things. And it's like, God, why do I attract these narcissistic men? And I realized that I had to go and uproot the first narcissistic man that had entered my life, and paved the way for me to think that that behavior of a narcissistic man was okay. And I had to go and pull up that root of my father. And for me, what I realized, y'all, and when I tell you it was a revelation, that, don't you know when you hear something and it kind of just hits you in your chest and you just be like, ooh. And you're doing ooh because you're thanking God first and foremost for deliverance. You're thanking God for surrender. You're thanking God for healing you, and you're thanking God for just filling that void that you may have had. But I had to go in and I had to pull up the root of the first narcissistic man that was ever in my life, and that was my father. I had got to a place to where, dealing with him, I learned that the behaviors that he was given was very narcissistic behaviors, but which was neglect and abuse, right? Manipulation, all of those things. And me not knowing anything, I'm thinking that that is love. So here I am masking what really is the relationship between he and I, a relationship of abuse, a relationship of neglect, a relationship of abandonment, a relationship of rejection, a relationship of all of the things, okay? I had to just call it for what it was. It was me masking it and thinking that it was love. And then when I came to that realization, or when God gave me that epiphany, I started to open my eyes up and see how that one relationship affected all my other relationships, as far as with men, with friendship, with all of those things. You know what I mean? And it it just made me really, really look at myself, and it made me really, really get to a space of just like, how can you uproot this, Catherine? How can you deal with this? How can you work through this? How can you not attract those type of people. And if I'm being honest, I think that it's like a moth to a flame, right? And it has more so to do with, because you hear the whole statement, you attract what's on the inside of you. And to some extent, I hear you and I understand it, but at the same time, what's inside of me is healing. You know what I mean? What's inside of me is the work that I put in. And a lot of people, it's light that's within, right? And you have so many dark people out here, so many souls out here that are dark. And it's like a moth to a flame. That darkness attracts the light. Or that light attracts the darkness. Whichever way you want to slice and dice it. That's just something that is going to happen, but it always goes back down to you are what you entertain or whatever. So I don't know. I hope I didn't get too much off of the topic that I was talking about as far as like masking love as neglect and abuse. Like, no longer will I do that. No longer will I allow your neglect and your abuse and just label it as love. Like, no. Love doesn't do that. Love is, I tell people all the time, love does not hurt. Trying to force yourself into spaces with people that are unhealed and that is on a mission of hurt people, that is what hurts. But love itself, God's love, baby, God's love don't hurt. God love restores. God love rebuilds. God loves align. God love is gentle. It's soft. It is patient. It's kind. It's all of that. It's commitment. It is trust. It is something that you ascend with. Love is something that you ascend with. You go higher with. And it grows. Yeah, so no longer will I associate it with neglect and abuse. And when God gave me that revelation, I was just like, wow. Like, that was deep. And a lot of people don't understand, you have to go. That's what soul work is. Soul work is you getting down to the root. And pulling whatever it is that you need to pull up at the root. Because what sense does it make if you have a flower and you just cut it off and you still have a bad flower that's rotted and everything and you just cut it off at the vine? It ain't gonna be no good. I mean, it ain't gonna do you no good because you still gotta go in and uproot that root, and you gotta go and you gotta clean the soil. You gotta put it in new soil. Like, and the only reason I was able to really see that or have that epiphany is because I was open to it. I was open to hearing what God had to say. Like I always said, God is always talking. It's just a matter of if you're listening or not. Are you listening? Are you in a posture to where you can hear him talk? But yeah, that was the first narcissistic relationship that I had with my father that paved the way for me to have and attract all of these other narcissistic relationships, thinking that it was love because from my own father, I thought that that was love. Neglect and abuse and all of the things. Like, I got stories for days, y'all. But I'm just in this space to where my father and I, we don't have a relationship, and that's by choice. And this is why I can't wait to start therapy, just to see what it is that my girl gonna have to say, and just to dig deeper within my soul work. But yeah, that's a relationship that I choose not to have with my father. And it ruffles a lot of people's feather because you hear the whole statement behind, well, Catherine, that's still your daddy. That's still your pappy. That's still your father. He is the father. You're absolutely right. That is. Just because, and I feel like there's a difference, right, between a father and a dad. Like, any man can lay down with a woman and get her pregnant and leave his sperm in there and become a father by default. But a daddy is a daddy that's in there thick and thin. Like, he putting in just as much work as that mama putting in. You know what I mean? Like, they're co-parenting or working together, however the case may be. But back to the relationship, I say, a lot of people, they don't really understand, because, they say that's still your daddy at the end of the day, and, you gotta forgive and all this other stuff, and, God this, God that. And it's like, where does it say that forgiveness means reconciling? Where do it say that at? It says to forgive. I forgive him. Because, see, for me, I know that that's not him. Yeah, my daddy is a pastor. Okay? I am a PK. My father is a pastor. So trust me, I get it and I completely understand. But what you're not going to do is make me stay in the space with the narcissist and just take it and chuck it up as if that's what it's supposed to be. No. I tell people all the time, respect is earned, not given. I don't care who you are. And so that's the relationship between him and I chose not to have on my own, because I feel like who he is right now is not conducive to the woman that I am becoming. So I was just in a space of saying, okay, God, whoever needs to go so that I can be focused and become the woman that lives out her God-given destiny, let's go ahead and get him out the way. And it's not always friends. You know what I mean? It's not always that nigga. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's them niggas in your family that you need to cut off. You know what I mean? For a period of time. And it's not to say that you don't love them. It's okay to love people from a distance. It's okay to love people with a long handle spoon. That's okay. Trust and believe me, it is okay. You got to do what you got to do for your peace. You got to do what you got to do for your peace of mind, your sanity, your mental health. And I'm really big on that. Like, your soul care. Like, you got to do what you got to do for you. And for me, I just realized that he was somebody that I didn't want in my life. Because, and here's the part that got me. I was like, Captain, if you can be strict with these niggas out here on the street that's just trying to handle you any kind of way, or, whatever the case may be, why you allowing this one to do that? Just because he your daddy? Nigga, please. God bless you and heaven smile upon you. Because what? Where they do that at? Not over here. I don't care who you are. Parent, mother, father, auntie, uncle, cousin, sister, brother, niece, nephew, son. Listen, I belong to God. You belong to God. And all I can do is assist with you being here on earth. And I don't even want to say assist God, because he don't need any assistance. But to just help guide you on your journey. You are a product of God. You're not a product. You belong to God. So I'm just not there anymore. And that's what you hear people say about forgiveness. You this, that, and the other. This, that, and the other is going to be this way until you forgive your father. And it's like, I forgave him. I just don't want to have anything to do with them. And I have that choice. That is my prerogative. I love the bald head man. Love him to life. Love him to pieces. However, no. I love him enough to, from a distance. We ain't got to have a conversation if I see you in passing. Hey, how are you? I love you. And keep it moving. I don't have anything for you because, see, you wasn't in my life. You abandoned me. You rejected me. And no, I just don't have space anymore to allow you to come in and to cut me even deeper. And I have to heal from what it is that you've done. I'm in a space to where if I have had to heal from you, I don't want you in my life, especially because there's a caveat to that. If you have not shown change behavior, change actions, if you have not done the above, I don't want you in my life. I don't want you in my life. There's nothing that I have for you, and there's nothing you have for me. Well, there is something that I have for you. A whole bunch of light. God, like, y'all see this light on me? It's giving. But, yeah. So, I guess my message is, don't be letting them niggas play in your face. Them niggas in the street and the nigga that gave birth to you. Don't let them play. Don't let them play in your face. No, man, like, for real. I just had that on my brain, and I needed to get that off. And yeah, that feels good. Yeah, that I'm starting to release my story. But yeah, like, yeah. I hope it's a relationship at one point that I prayed for that would get better. But I had to come to realization, and I had to be real and honest with myself and say, you know, it will only change if that person want to change. You know what I mean? Like, I can't allow you to keep coming in my life doing what you feel like you can do just because you hold the title of being my father. Like, that's what's wrong with y'all. Like, I don't know if it's just my generation, but like, no. You gonna have to respect me. Just like you want respect, you gonna have to respect me as well too. Absolutely not. You're not gonna be talking to me all sideways and slick and thinking you can handle me any kind of way and it's just that. Baby, who? When, where, and how? That's even with the people in your family. You gotta let them know what time it is. Like, no. Because y'all not about to play on my top. I am a grown woman with a whole teenager, a job, a car, and a crib. More than what half of you. I digress. Digress, Catherine. Digress. I digress. Because once it start going. But, no. No. I don't regret it. I'm actually at peace with it. That's how I know it's okay. And how I know I'm okay. I am at peace with my decision. Because that man, he done did some effed up sugar honey iced tea to you, girl. And yeah, I just got to a place to where I started placing boundaries. And I started to realize, because as being a healer, no one tells you that you have to protect yourself for real. You know what I mean? You just go through life just being a kind person, being a giver, you know what I mean? Just being the light. And you get to a point to where it's like, hold on, these people pulling for me in a way that ain't comfortable. That's making me uncomfortable. Hold on now. Pause. Hold on. And you just start to set boundaries, and you start to dig deeper, and you start to do your soul care, and you start to do your soul work, and you start to dig within and figure out, where's this stuff really coming from? How can I, really combat what's really going on? You know what I mean? Because you can only deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with once you give it a face, once you give it a name. I knew that I was dealing with abandonment and rejection. I just needed to figure out, where did it stem from? I had to be honest with myself. And I realized that shit came from when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, it started with my father. And yeah, I was masking it for love, thinking that the neglect and the abuse was love. And now it makes so much sense why certain things happen. You know what I mean? Because when you're unaware of something, you're unaware of something. You know what I mean? You're not aware of something until you become aware of it. You know what I mean? Until it's like right there in your face, kind of in a sense, for some. But yeah, that's a relationship I choose not to have. I got my door cracked open, y'all, because it's hot out here, and I can't roll this window down. Some stupid little YN, old young nigga tried to break into my car. But anywho, yeah, I'm so excited. I did a whole 20-minute video. This is going on my YouTube, the Soul Talk Lounge. I'm gonna do more of these. But so yeah, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. There's no more giving the benefit of the doubt, because what is the benefit of doubt that you're giving that individual when they've already shown you what time it is, what type of time they are? What is the benefit of the doubt you're giving them? To come back and play on your face, on your top again? And you don't have to have nobody in your life because of a title. If they are not respecting you, if they are abusive, if they are manipulative, if they are neglectful, if they are any of those things, you do not have to keep them in your space, in your garden, because of a title that they may have. Make peace with it. Pray God's healing over them. Ask God to not allow your heart to be hardened behind the actions of that person, of said individual, especially if it is a parent, because that type of shit, that type of hurt, that hurts completely different. Completely different, okay? Than a nigga out on the street. That hurts completely different. So just pray and ask God to mend your broken heart. And as it pertains to that space, ask him to fill it with what it is that he needs it to be filled with, so that you can move about that situation. Ask him to give you the strength to uproot all of it, so that you can release it and let go and forgive. That's what forgiving is. It's surrendering it over to God, so that it will no longer be a heavy burden that you are carrying, because that's not something you're supposed to be carrying. That's something that you're supposed to give over to God, because that's something that's out of your control. Especially if you know you haven't been a spiteful person to that individual. You know what I mean? Especially if, given their backstory, baby, you have been a blessing in their life. Like, I got stories for days when it comes to it, and we definitely gonna tap into it, but just make sure that you are in a posture to where God can speak to your heart. You know what I mean? Don't allow that situation, if you have a narcissistic parent, like, don't allow it to harden your heart. Don't allow it to make you bitter. Don't allow it to make you spiteful. Don't allow it to make you hateful. Don't allow it to make you any of those things. If anything, allow it to make you to become her, the woman that you need to become, so that you can live out your God-given destiny in front of your enemies. Because they are op at this point. They definitely are op at this point. Because it said in the scripture, he will make a table in front of your enemies. Baby, you better let them. You better let them in. You better release what you cannot control and can control what you can. Allow God to do the rest. That's not a battle that I can fight. He's dealing with his own demons. You're going to have to deal with your own demons, baby. Because I'm dealing with what I got to deal with. But I'm not going to allow those demons to come play over here with me. Nah. God bless you and have a smile upon you. And I don't think I've spoke to him, and this will be 3 years. I've seen him in passing, and I said hello, shot him a bird because he stuck his tongue out at me. But other than that, no, we ain't got nothing to talk about. We ain't got nothing to discuss. I love you. And that's all it was. It was a hey, hi so-and-so. And I kept on going. And it was so crazy because it goes back to my story of moving here. Shoot, if y'all ain't got nothing to do, I ain't got nothing to do. I'm up here waiting on my son. So, July 1st will be 3 years that I moved back home, right? And, you know, with me moving back home, me and my father had it set up to where, you know, I can come where he was at and get, you know, everything together, because moving from one state to another state, it was hectic. It was hard. It was a lot. But all in all, he's married. He was technically going through a divorce, from my understanding. And next thing I know, I had a dream that his wife, who does not like us, his wife was back in the picture. And my thing is, baby, I don't have a problem with you wanting to be with whoever you want to be with. I do not. I don't care. But see, my thing is, you have to respect me. I'm a grown woman. I don't give a care who you are. And so it was just little things that started to happen. I had a dream, and God showed me that she was back, because she wasn't in the picture. She was gone for like almost a year. And I end up moving here because I know me and her, we can't stay in the same space together because of some other shiesty sugar honey iced tea she did. And next thing I know, I woke up out of that sleep from that dream, and I started crying because I had this overwhelming feeling of he's about to push us out. And when I say us out, I meant me and my son. I'm like, he's about to push us out. And sure enough, my son was like, oh, Grandma so-and-so was here, and, you know, so-and-so was showing her around the house and inside the rooms and all of this stuff. And it just went downhill from there. And I forgot why I said all of that. I forgot what my point was. It was good. Dang, I forgot what it was. But yeah, that's just a little synopsis of some that I done went through with that man, that I choose not to. And everybody think that I haven't forgave him because I don't have a relationship with him. It's just funny watching people like projecting. You know what I mean? Like, I had to forgive my dad and da-da-da-da this and da-da-da this, and we became better, da-da-da. That's because you chose to have a relationship with them. I don't choose to have one. Not right now. God has not convicted me of that. I forgive him. Just don't want nothing to do with him. And I think that that's my right. That's my prerogative. But, yeah. I did a whole 30-minute video, y'all. But, you know how I always say, I hope that this blesses you in some way, some form, some fashion. Remember that there is power of life and death in your tongue. Use it to speak words of beauty. And Big Dawg, always, always, always keep it G. Peace and blessings.